there, my name is Mackenzie. Welcome back to my channel, and thank you so much for being here. Today we are doing my part 2 of 2 least favorite genres and subgenres video. If you didn't see my first video, I will link that up in the cards for you. Those were my favorite genres and a much more positive video. If you want to see me do this video, please stick around. I tend to do these even though I don't necessarily like to do them. I mean, I do. I'm not going to pretend that I don't like to talk shit, because I definitely do. More so, I rationalize that I do them because I do the favorites video. So if I do one, I must do the other. It is two sides of the same coin. Also, I do like to see how my opinions change throughout the years. It was very fun. I went back through my bookish Never Have I Evers. I did that in 2020. I want to say. Yeah, in 2020. And that was very funny to watch because a lot of it has changed. Maybe I'll go back and do it again. However, getting back on track, we're doing least favorite genres and subgenres. This is the graphic we're going to be working with. Let me just get out of the way so you can see it better. So there are 5 main genres, and each main genre has subgenres within it. The only genre we are not going to be talking about in this video is fantasy, because I love everything about fantasy, and none of it made it onto my least favorites. So get out of here, fantasy. We are going to be talking about mystery, romance, thriller, and sci-fi. We are also going to be talking about just a little bit of nonfiction. We'll talk about that first because it's not on this picture. These main genres are for fiction only, and the only other genre that I can think of is like nonfiction and biographies. I put them over here on this list because I don't necessarily ever gravitate towards these genres at all, unless it's for something in particular. Like, down here I have 2 biographies, one by Jonthan Van Ness and the other by Michelle Obama. I mean, those are very wonderful to me. I really enjoyed Jonthan Van Ness's. That was amazing. I have also read Honeybee Heart Has 5 Openings or something like that. That was pretty good. It was about honeybees, but like, it was just about honeybees. It was about this lady in the UK being a beekeeper. Okay, now let's talk about the 5 or 4 fiction subgenres that we are going to be talking about that made it onto my least favorites list. Like the last video, I am going to be talking about these based on the main genre first, and then within the main genre, I'm going to list them from, I guess, most favorite to least favorite. In the other video I did from least favorite to most favorite, but in this video, since it's the least favorite list, we'll do from most favorite to least favorite. So let's start with mystery. I only put 2 on this list. Let's start with historical mystery. I would prefer this one over hobby mystery. Historical mystery mainly makes it onto this list because I don't like historical settings. You have to do a lot for me to enjoy your historical setting. I don't want it to feel too historical, too racist, too sexist, too anything like that. That's why I tend to stick to things written within the current, I guess, social standard of how we should be treating people. But I do prefer it over hobby mystery, which really just made me think of like Nancy Drew and like the Hardy Boys and like Scooby-Doo. And like, while I love Scooby-Doo, I don't necessarily like reading about it because it takes a lot for me to suspend my disbelief for hobby mysteries. And like, I would rather suspend my disbelief for a fantasy. And that's where it comes down to. Like, the line I draw in the sand is, if I have to suspend my disbelief so much for your whatever, I'd rather read a fantasy. Now we can talk about romance. There's 3 on this list. My most favorite, I guess, would be Regency romance. I don't really gravitate towards this at all, but I would say that I would pick this over the other 2. Regency romance, I do kind of like watching that stuff, so I feel like I would enjoy reading about it, but also I don't like reading about monarchy stuff too much anymore, and I try to read about like other cultures instead of just like the established European king and queen kind of status. But that's why this is the least favorite list anyway. Next would be a Western romance. I don't care for Westerns, like, really at all. There's one movie, not even the movie, because I hate the movie. Was that with Val Kilmer? And he's like, I'm your Huckleberry. And I'm like, yes, you are. Oh my God. But, like, the rest of that movie, trash. Any scene where he's not in it, trash. but he's amazing in that movie, and I die every time. Like, so good. But I don't necessarily care for a Western romance because it is almost like, dun 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 dun, our final thing that we're going to be talking about, which is a historical romance. I don't care for historical anything. I just don't. It's rough, and a historical romance has the most potential for it to be awful. Historical romances, like, it's almost a guarantee that it's going to be sexist. It's probably going to be racist if they're going to be interracial. And it's probably not going to feel good. There's going to be a lot of trauma and stuff that I just don't care for. Let's move on to thriller. There's actually 5 in the thriller category that I want to talk about. My most favorite would be espionage, even though I've never really read anything like that. I think I read, like, some Jack Reacher. I think I read an entire Jack Reacher once, and I think that might be espionage. But you know what? I think that I would enjoy it. It really just depends on what it is. It can't be too, like, real. You know? Like, I don't want it to be like, how come I can watch a James Bond movie and, like, those things are real? Like, James Bond isn't real, but, like, MI6 and all of that is real. But, like, I can't do it in a book. I don't know. I just want my books to be free of, like, the real life completely. Then medical thriller, I guess. I've never really read anything on this list, but I'm based on my movie preferences is how I'm really rating these. This is why they didn't make it onto the favorites list, because I've never read anything like this before. So they can't necessarily be a favorite, can they? But medical thriller movies are kind of interesting. I think that I would enjoy it. I feel like medical thrillers have potential for body horror, so I think that I would really enjoy that. Then a historical thriller. I kind of enjoy a historical thriller. I think I give more leeway for people to be the shitty people they were in history in a historical thriller, because thrillers are always basically about people that aren't necessarily good people. So I kind of give them more leeway, and I think I enjoy these a little bit more than any other historical, at least on this list. Historical fantasy not included. Military thriller is down here on, like, one of my least favorite, the second to last least favorite. I really don't care for the military at all. Sometimes it can be a thrilling aspect, like The Losers was great. I just don't care for military stories and war stories. Especially, like, when it's real, like, I don't care for them. It can be done well. Like, I really enjoyed The Losers. I don't know if that's necessarily a thriller, but it was really cool. I would say more like an adventure. You see, I need these things to be more adventurous if you're going to include the military, and that's really the only reason why I would like it. And then my least favorite, I would say, is the legal thriller. I can think of nothing more boring than sitting in a legal room, a courtroom, and just doing that. I read Monster, and while that was, like, an important social commentary piece, it was so boring. It was so boring. And, like, I just make it a play, make it a movie, do something else. It's so boring as a book. Now let's talk about sci-fi. There are 2 on this list, and I can't say which that I like least. Alternate history is something that I find amusing, and depending on the story, I could really enjoy it. I do think that this one has more potential to go awry for me. Military sci-fi, interestingly enough, I think that I have the potential to enjoy much more. We all saw Avatar with the blue people aliens. That was a military sci-fi, and that was so freaking cool, you guys. And, like, I don't know, but I don't know if I would enjoy that as, like, a book. I probably would. But it also does have the potential to go awry because of the military aspect and, like, the war. But I feel like I would enjoy that because the military would inherently be the bad people and they would be, like, colonizers. Like, if we're speaking about the Avatar movie, that was basically what happened. The military came in and they were colonizing the planet. I forgot its name. But that's what happened, and it was really cool and enjoyable because there was a definitive bad guy and I enjoyed the story that was being told. So I feel like that has more potential for me to actually like it. So we'll say that alternate history would be my least favorite. I don't really even read a lot of alternate history anyway. So those were all of my least favorite genres and subgenres, mainly subgenres. Tell me the ones that you dislike the most down in the comments below, and we can talk about it down there. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you have a good rest of your day, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye!